Hello, welcome to In the Course of the Wenton King once again. This is our special Patreon-only stuff. We're doing Wind and Wuthering. Wind and Wuthering. What a cover. I think that's a fantastic cover. It might be my favourite Genesis cover. Maybe. I think that's great. And it matches the music and all that stuff, which makes it a better cover. It's very much paired with Trick of the Tail. It is Trick of the Tail 2, Tony Banks' favourite album, which I think is kind of a double-edged sword. Very proggy. The whole concept is it's a concept album in terms of it's a mood concept. Wind and Wuthering, the Wuthering Heights and windy and autumny, grey autumn, not a brown autumn. It's whooshes of keyboard, big structured pieces. It is quite complex. Some of it is less accessible than Trick of the Tail. Quite a lot less accessible, I think. There's some amazing percussion stuff on there. Fantastic songs. It is perfectly structured. The ending to an era is on the end of the album. It works as the ending. It is different to Trick of the Tail, I think. Okay, there's three things. Number one, Trick of the Tail was the fan-pleasing album. You know, Peter Gabriel had left and they had to please them and they had to do a Genesis album of Genesising. Here they've just gone back to making whatever they want to make. And that's not massively different to Trick of the Tail, but I think this is a more natural album. There's no referencing Supper's Ready on this one. You know, it doesn't end with that bit. Steve Hackett contributed one of his best ever songs with other stuff rejected. We'll talk on that later. I think that mood concept is fantastic. I think that comes from Steve Hackett as much as Tony Banks. There's actually a bit of 11th Earl of Mar. The middle section is written by Steve Hackett, and originally that was called Windy Windy or something. So it must have been inspiration. I think that's a better album than Trick of the Tail. When I actually sat down, I had to sit down and think about it. I couldn't just say that. I think it's a better album than Trick of the Tail. If you're in the mood, it is wonderful. But, just like Trick of the Tail, there is a lack of warmth. There's a Tony Banksness. There's a Charterhouse accountant kind of vibe somewhere in there. Too much Tony Banks. I think that's what that is. It also features a love song.
I think we need to sort of recap where we got to with Genesis and Trick of the Tail. It's been a long time.
It was years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah. I gave away my copy of Trick of the Tail.
And you did give it a chance. You waited and waited, didn't you? And you still
I couldn't do it. So, I mean, we were...
Oh, ignore the CDR in there. This is the definitive edition. Just move the CDR out of the way. Yeah. Definitive edition, obviously. So I don't know what that is. Not there. I buy all the versions.
So yeah, let's recap where my thinking was, sort of thing. I was quite upset, Kev. Peter Gabriel had gone.
Yeah.
All the stuff I like, he sort of embodied the stuff I liked about Genesis,
yeah.
And I got it in my head. I think this is sort of on reflection what was going on. That what had happened was Tony Banks and Mike Rutherford were basically on a mission to build the Genesis brand up with all these great musicians, Peter Gabriel, Phil Collins, Steve Hackett, yeah. And then to keep the brand and rinse it for as much money as they could.
Yeah.
That's basically what I thought was going on. So I was quite unhappy by the time we got to Trick of the Tail. Since then, I think my thoughts have changed somewhat. I've softened a bit on Rutherford.
Oh, okay.
I think he seems a much more reasonable sort of type person than I kind of.
Actually, I've
you've gone the other way.
Yeah.
I think there's a definitive thing about it, but I get a sense I think it might have been when we did Trespass and that, and his relationship to what's his face, because he was a guitar.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, with
Oh, I'm glad you struggled.
What's his name? The other guy, the guitarist.
Bob Smith.
Bob Smith, yeah. Hello, we're prog reviewers. We're the experts. We'll come back in a minute.
Yeah. I think I got I think from there I got the impression, okay, this guy, there's more to this guy than just sort of cold-hearted. I want to be big in a big band, and I'm going to do whatever I can to get there.
Anthony Phillips.
That's him, Anthony Phillips. Yeah. But I still think Tony Banks is a complete cock, basically. And
he's an accountant, isn't he? That's what he is.
I know. At the end of this is Steve Hackett's exit point. Yeah, and Steve Hackett. One of the stories is Steve Hackett is frustrated that more of his music hasn't been taken on board.
Yeah,
that Tony Banks is being favoured, and what is it? One for the Vine. Tony Banks has been writing for a long time to get on this.
Yeah, 10 minutes.
It's taken him a year or something like that. He started writing it for one trick of the tail, and there's no way in this world that Tony Banks, a song that he's taken a year to write, there's no way he's not going to let it not go on the album.
Yeah, it's going
even
on
if the other band members say, no, I don't think it's right. It's going on there. So, I mean...
This gives the game away that it's the Tony Banks band.
Yeah.
Isn't it? That's the thing.
Yeah. My first, my impressions of it are, side one, I thought, oh man, this sounds a bit derivative actually.
When does side one finish? Is it the end of Wot Gorilla?
Yeah, Wot Gorilla.
Okay.
I thought this sounds a bit derivative of themselves actually. I can hear...
Genesising.
Yeah, Genesising, Selling England sort of stuff going on there, especially in 11th Earl of Mar, which the idea for which came to Rutherford after when he was reading about a failed Scottish rebellion in the 18th century or something like that.
That's very,
God.
Very generic Genesis. That could be an Anthony Phillips album as well.
Yeah, or it could be, something as bizarre. Is that like the only book you read that year? Is that why that's inspiring you to write music?
No time to write it.
There's one particular footnote actually.
1132.
So I actually thought there was actually nothing really new until Wot Gorilla.
Yeah,
which is really cool.
Yeah, and ironic as well.
Yeah, everything about it is better. They're obviously very, very comfortable making Genesis songs now.
Yeah,
and making music now. They're very accomplished musicians basically, and orchestrators. They can put something together. I have to wonder if there is some kind of secret Peter Gabriel button that a music producer can press to make a vocalist sound like Peter Gabriel. Because at one point I thought, am I listening to the right album in here? Is this one of Peter Gabriel's albums?
Yeah.
Indistinguishable.
Yeah.
Indistinguishable in places.
Yeah. And obviously a lot of time he's more melodic, but some of the time he can do a Peter Gabriel.
Yeah. And sort of with Musical Box, which we're going to say, he sounds exactly like Peter Gabriel in the Peter Gabriel era Genesis.
Yeah.
So is there a button out there that you can press that makes a singer sound like Peter Gabriel?
Yeah, and it's such a unique sound. Nobody else sounds like that. Nobody.
Really strange.
Yeah.
But actually, as you get through to side two, it turns... Well, it starts to sound like musicians making music when you get to the instrumental pieces. So actually, I thought there were two, but you got Unquiet Slumbers for the Sleepers, and In That Quiet Earth.
Yeah.
Is that one track? No, it's two tracks.
Yeah.
That actually, that's the best bit of the album.
It's the final grand jam before the end.
So yeah, there's I've got quite a lot of thoughts on this, but how to organise them is a little bit difficult. So I think what you've seen on here is in the moments that they're trying to riff off old Genesis, they may not be trying to do that, but that's essentially what's happening.
It is Genesis music. Let's make Genesis music now.
They seem to do a good impression of the Peter Gabriel era Genesis, but they're never going to surpass that.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the way forward comes with Your Own Special Way, maybe.
Yeah.
Because Phil Collins can do that.
Sing that. Yeah.
He can sing that.
Yeah.
And do it better than Peter Gabriel can do it.
Yes. Well, yeah, but I don't think. Does Peter Gabriel ever attempt that? I don't think he's ever attempted it. Well,
maybe he doesn't attempt it, but
it would be terrible, wouldn't it? It wouldn't work at all.
Peter, Phil Collins can do it, and he does it, and it's good.
He's very good at it.
Yeah, so maybe there's a little signpost there of the way forward for them.
Yeah.
Because they're obviously after a lot of success, and there's going to be quite a lot of success in that type of music. And I think the reason, I think what I see going on here is sort of you've still got Genesis. The great thing about Genesis was the music had in it sort of like ideas, stories, and subtext.
Yeah,
some of the stories, and sort of by the end, what you see with Your Own Special Way and the instrumentals, it's moving away from that and more towards emotive.
Yeah,
type things.
That's exactly what Phil says, isn't it?
Yeah,
can't emote.
Which I think Hackett, who wanted to make different music from the very, very beginning.
Yeah.
That was one of his motive things. He wants to break musical boundaries or whatever his advert was in Melody Maker.
Break down the barriers of the...
That's not really going to appeal to him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He does explicitly say that. Yeah, it was actually
explicit. That's the word I was looking for.
Love songs.
Yeah, it's not going to be his thing. So
that was part of his. And that's on there, and his songs aren't on there.
Yeah,
he's got the best one. They had to have Blood on the Rooftops because it's fantastic.
Yeah.
But apart from that, that's it. You've got some bits and pieces of bits of songs.
It's a shame. It's such a shame because what's missing from here are the things that made Genesis so great was those moments, the fly on the windshield, 666, the solo in the fourth or fifth, which I tell you what, that pisses me off. Okay, so Tony Banks wrote it for a flute.
Yeah.
But Hackett played it.
And it's his now.
And it's his.
It's guitar solo, isn't it? Yeah.
And I don't think, watching the interviews, Tony Banks could not let him have it. It was sort of like, oh, I wrote it, but yeah, Tony, Steve Hackett, he played it excellently, sort of thing. But I wrote it. Don't forget that I wrote it.
There's a lot of that.
It's all about him, sort of thing.
That's why it's his favourite album, because there's so much of him.
It's sort of there's a massive ego issue there.
There is.
Yeah. And as you can see, when he moved on to his solo stuff, well, I don't know how successful that was, but
Tony Banks.
Yeah, I'm guessing not very.
It is a big thing that's not. It never, obviously Rutherford and Phil obviously had huge careers, and Tony Banks didn't. It's very strange.
He needs the support of the band members around him, and I get the sense he doesn't fully appreciate that.
Yeah, and he has this incredible talent and all that, and he is the heart of Genesis, but the brain of Genesis, because he lacks mojo completely, doesn't he? He just doesn't have any mojo. He needs someone with mojo, and Peter Gabriel was the ultimate mojo.
Yeah. So I prefer this to Trick of the Tail.
It is a better album.
I
think only sitting down to review it did I really realise that. But yeah, it's a better album.
And it took a little bit of winning over. I did think, okay, derivative stuff. They're trying to get back to say, look, we don't need Peter. It wasn't about Peter Gabriel. It was, we could always do it. There's more to us than just Peter Gabriel. But
so successful by this point.
Yeah,
it's going up and up. And
it's such a shame because Peter Gabriel and Steve Hackett, they're fundamental to early Genesis. Mm-hmm. You wonder, did they get their just desserts out of it? Because the sales went up. Yeah.
As they left.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, not bad.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think One for the Vine is the best thing on there.
But I think it's completely bland. I have no. It's just I don't know what to say. It's sort of the big structured stuff on the previous albums, especially Selling England and those three albums really, Foxtrot with Supper's Ready, Selling England and The Lamb. This doesn't hold a candle to that stuff. It doesn't have the moments in there. There's no sort of wow.
However good it is, it will never quite. Yeah. It's always going to be just. Yeah. But I still really like One for the. I think One for the more stately. It lacks the that energy and whatever it is. I think Blood on the Rooftops is probably just as good, and it's even positioned on the album out of the way. It's almost hidden. It should open side 2.
Yeah.
And it doesn't. That's really strange.
And it's a completely different tone to the rest of the album, isn't it? It's sort of like, that's what makes it stand out, really, I suppose.
Yeah. And maybe. I mean, this is a great album, so this is minor. We're not really complaining, really. But maybe there's too much Banks, and maybe it should have been more of a Banks Hackett album. If there was more Steve Hackett in there, it would have. I mean, I've talked about Pink Floyd before. Genesis is nothing like Pink Floyd, obviously, but it would have been like how Dark Side is a Waters Wright album. You need that much Rick Wright.
Yeah.
We know who's in charge, but you need that much Rick Wright. And without that there, it wouldn't have been. So maybe more Hackett would have made something amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got 11th Earl of Mar. I think it's quite a strange song, 11th Earl of Mar. It's kind of a Hackett Banks thing with Mike Rutherford writing the song, I think.
It's his song, isn't it? Mike Rutherford.
Yeah. And you've got Afterglow. I really like Afterglow. Afterglow is very, very simple, but it seems very, very Genesis, and it's the ending. And I think the song of it, I think is great. You know, it's like an after there's been something's happened and it's afterwards kind of thing. Is a great concept. There is no sign of Phil Collins yet. He's not there, is he? And obviously, his input is Wot Gorilla, and he was pushing to get Tony Banks. No, let's play fusion. Come on, do more fusion. That's what it's only what 76, 77.
Yeah,
So it was 76 actually. Yeah, 77. It's not very long. Suddenly, Phil, I don't want to do that now. Sorry, I want to play these boring, dreary, moaning songs. And obviously we have a Rutherford love song, and it was Mike Rutherford that took them in that direction. It is his fault. You know, I've always said it was a gradual change, and they all did it, and they did. And you shouldn't blame Phil, etc. But it was Mike Rutherford writes those songs, not Phil. Phil writes the really dreary stuff. Actual love songs that are happy are written by Mike Rutherford, so it's his fault.
How did they play this live?
They played a fair amount of it. They did 11th Earl of Mar.
Well, what did Phil Collins do? Is this when they drafted in Bill Bruford?
Oh well, yeah. Bill Bruford didn't like doing it because obviously you're not supposed to don't have input. Just play the drums, and so obviously he didn't want to do it. So they got Chester Thompson, who was actually offered the job without an audition because he's Chester Thompson. He was in Zappa and he's on Roxy and elsewhere. And Chester Thompson, frankly, is the master of no personality, to be honest. And I think that's exactly what they wanted. You know, and actually, he's a fantastic drummer. But in Genesis, no, that's not your job. Your job is to just have no personality at all. He's very good at that, which does show a lot of talent to be able to do that. Bill Bruford couldn't do that. Bill Bruford sounds like Bill Bruford. It makes the music sound different. That's why we need a 76 live album, because it's like, you know, I love the concept, the windy Wuthering Heights. That's not a concept album, is it? But that idea of having that as a concept, I think pretty much all their albums have a mood. You know, apart from We Can't Dance, which is just a complete mishmash. And in that sense, this is the best mood. Apart from Selling England and The Lamb, this has the best mood, the most consistent. You know, I feel like this, I want to listen to this. You know, yeah. I mean, you said there is a bit of Genesising, and we're doing the Genesis music now. And Tony Banks has acknowledged it. He said that's as far as we could go in that direction. We've done it now, and that's why they had to change. And that's fair enough. And his first solo album, he does say, "Well, okay, I'll do an album in that style once more." Last time, doesn't sound like that to me at all. He just gets a singer that sounds like Phil in the '80s, and it's nothing to do with Wind and Wuthering. How dare you? I don't know if he's trying to get people to buy it because nobody bought it. Tony Banks did an album with Fish. Really? Yeah, I don't think that was a hit either. Never mind. They were worried about the response because it is the dark album, you know, what we were talking about with Jethro Tull. This is the dark one. Trick of the Tail is the light one, I think. And they were worried that it was just too subtle and too complex. And it got really good reviews. It's really strange. You'd think it would have been, you know, slagged off, but it wasn't. I was talking about the tour, wasn't I? Yeah. Phil's stuck in the singing role. Sorry, Phil, you can't play the drums anymore. Sorry. So he did a good job of managing to do it a bit as well. So they've got Chester Thompson, yeah. But yeah, I mean, live they played a lot of it. 11th Earl of Mar, One for the Vine. Maybe One for the Vine wasn't played until the following tour, or the one after that, actually, the Duke tour. Your Own Special Way was played. I don't think they played All in a Match Is Not a Blood on the Rooftops, but they did play Unquiet Summers and In That Quiet Earth and Afterglow. But a lot of that was omitted from the live album, annoyingly, which we'll talk about at some point. 5 eggs. It can only ever be 5 eggs. Like I said, it doesn't. However good it is, it just.
I wonder what I gave Trick of the Tail.
We didn't egg back then,
didn't we?
Yeah, you just didn't like it. I'll just put this CDR back in with this other disc for some reason.
I don't like it as. I can't give it 5 eggs. There's some good stuff on there, but it's not pulling me in to listen to it again. I'm gonna give it 4.
It is for me. It is a dip into album. You know, occasionally I'll put on just Blood on the Rooftops, or do Unquiet Slumbers, in that Quiet Earth, Afterglow.
Mm.
Of course, live later on, of course, they discovered Phil was really good at singing In the Cage, which you'd never guess. It's really good. So they did In the Cage, bit of like the jam section of Cinema Show and things like that in the middle, and then Afterglow, and that was the end of the concert. But this is the end of the
good stuff.
Yeah, really, it's good. This is Genesis, yes.
Okay. What are we going to do next then?
Oh yeah, so the next Genesis album on Patreon only, www.patreon.com/WentonKing. You already know that because you're watching this. I think we should do Genesis live. We'll do the 2 live albums before we move on to, and then there were 3.
Right then, cool.
You didn't get eggs? How many eggs?
I'll give it 4.
Oh, you get 4. Okay.
4 eggs.
Right. Cheers.